Hello.
Hello. We already got some people here. Della's here, and Lois and Pam. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to do some chatting. It's Sam's idea, right? Tell them about your big idea.
Oh, for tonight?
Yeah.
What we're gonna do? Oh, to talk about like your dreams. Like if you had, I'm gonna scoot this over just a little bit. There we go. If you had, the name of the game tonight is if like you had the perfect property or like all the money in the world or could make the perfect situation, what kind of a homestead would you have? What would you put together for yourself? And since it's your own dream, you can make your own rules. Maybe you want to stay at the same property. Maybe you want to move. Maybe you want more or less land. Like you make it up. Whatever you want for your dream. But you guys got to share too. We'll share some of I guess you can say some realistic goals and some that aren't realistic.
We'll share some of our realistic goals here for the next 5 years since there's some big changes coming up.
I'll be right back.
And then we'd also just love to hear from you. What are some of your realistic and maybe even some of your unrealistic goals? Let's just chat. It'll be fun tonight. So Debbie, thanks for joining us. We are going to get started in just a second. We're getting the last little one upstairs so they're not running around during our live stream. Silver Moon, thanks for joining us. And Karen is here. Awesome. Thanks for coming. So I think most of you know, but we'll do the quick background. So Sam and I have been on our homestead. We've owned it for 7 years now. We've lived here for 6, a little over 6. And it's a 1890s farmhouse in Missouri that is full of 1890 problems that we're slowly working through. Let's see, our homestead is 10 acres. Mm-hmm. And we
mostly
have open, maybe an acre to 2 acres that are semi-wooded. And we have goats and sheep right now, ducks, chickens, and geese, and a dog and a bunch of barn cats is kind of where we're at. And a garden, obviously, is kind of where we're at. Right. So we got a bunch of people here. So Empty Nesters here, welcome. Wendy, welcome from Nova Scotia. And Holly, Aunt Holly's here. She always
dreamed of an all-miniature animal.
That would be cute.
Farm. That would be cute.
That would be cute.
I've been around some miniature animals. Some of them are really nice. I was around when I was growing up, like in high school. I helped on a farm. This lady had, I guess it wasn't really a farm, but they had a few horses. Some of them were like full-size horses, but she had a ton of miniature ponies, maybe like 7 or 8. They were horrible because they were her babies, and she never discipline them. Every time I went to clean out their like paddock, I got bit or kicked by those little ponies, and you couldn't do anything about it because she was there. If you went after her ponies, you would have been in big trouble. But I have been around some. We actually kind of did some like horse sitting for a family that had to move, and those miniature ponies were pretty nice.
Tammy's here from California. Charlie and Judy, welcome. Good to hear from you. And Tammy said, yes, we're glad that you're able to join us tonight, too. So
gonna iron while she's watching. I like it.
Double multitasking.
Yes.
That's the name of the game, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So, how do you want to start?
Hello, Homestead Nana.
Welcome.
Let's start with like what kind of property.
Okay. So
let's start. You got to start like big picture and narrow it down.
Let's start with the unrealistic goal. If money and location was absolutely no object, where would your homestead be and how big would it be?
Okay. So I think you should start with like what state or what.
Jeez.
What?
Well, I already know where you want to go.
Yes.
You want to go to like Montana.
Yes. I would want to live at like the base of a mountain, or maybe like a little ways up the mountain. I think it would be so beautiful to walk outside your door and have a mountain all around you. And I do like cooler weather. Those are my two. I know like the growing season's a lot shorter. I know that there's some negatives to that, but I think that would be my New Zealand.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah, I would want to move somewhere like near a mountain. That would be my goal. Tara's
here. Welcome, Tara. Okay, so if I could go anywhere, I probably actually wouldn't stay in the United States. Like, we're not talking about logistics of being far away from family, but I might go somewhere maybe in New Zealand or maybe like a Nordic country like Sweden, or Iceland.
That's really pretty.
Really pretty.
We were in Switzerland and Germany at one point in our lives. That was really pretty. We were in the Black Forest. That was really pretty out there.
Yep.
Which is, it kind of looks like where we live now, sort of, kind of.
So, but logistically, I think I'd be sad being far away from family, and we depend a lot on family.
Yeah.
But okay, so how big would your?
Let's see. New Zealand. Hello. Debbie said she'd be in Alaska or Montana. Yes.
Here's a funny Alaska story. You go pour us some of that
coffee.
So when we went to college, we had a good friend. He was from Alaska. Had he lived in Alaska his whole life, pretty much? He's from Alaska. Lived there for like ever. And Alaska pays its citizens, right? Or is it only certain areas of Alaska? They pay their citizens to stay there. So they get a stipend. So even though he like lived at college for 4 years and didn't set foot back in Alaska, he got like this big check every year in his P.O. box. Yeah, it was thousands of dollars just for being technically a citizen of Alaska. And we were always really jealous. So there's the plus.
Wasn't it about how like the state of Alaska sold some oil rights to the government?
I don't know. He said it was. I thought he said it was because Alaska is desperate for population because there's a lot of negatives to living in Alaska and it's really expensive because of how far it is, like to ship things to Alaska. And so it was like an incentive. If you lived in Alaska, you had to be there more than 5 years or something, and then you got a check every year you stayed. Trying to incentivize people to move.
Super hot.
So let's see. Carrie's here, welcome. And Silvermoon says, I want to be a full-time sheep farmer, and sheep are a big thing in New Zealand.
That's a good idea.
Tammy says, Oregon, outside Portland, near Washington, 25 acres, or New Zealand, 25 to 50 acres.
Beverly says, hi guys, am I late again? We just started.
And Grammy is here. Welcome, Grammy. Here's a question for Grammy. Grammy doesn't have she's got a little mini stead, but if Grammy could live anywhere in the world, where would Grammy want to live? And I don't know. I would guess maybe Nova Scotia, because she always talks about the lighthouses and relatives that used to live up there.
Pretty.
But where would Grammy live if you could live anywhere? Prep for Eternity's here. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so back to big dreams, unrealistic goals, and then we'll bring it into the realistic stuff. But
yeah, we can
how big would your homestead be?
As many acres as I could get.
You don't want to see another person?
Nope.
Ever?
Yep.
It sounds a little bit lonely.
Well, I would put the house like on the front of the acreage-ish, and then have everything else around you. You just have all kinds of playground, basically, out there.
So, Debbie says it's from oil rights. Okay, so you're right. When we lived in Alaska, we did not get money for being a resident. Okay. Beth says, I would love right where I am, but some land, like 5 acres. So, there is something to be said just about staying in your, like, you already have connections, you already know people, you're comfortable there. Yeah.
Grammy says she'd go back to New England.
All right. Grammy would move back to New England.
It is pretty up there.
It is very pretty up there.
I did enjoy visiting when we go.
Yeah, and this is the fall. Yeah, I do too. We'd get some pretty nice colors down here along the river, though, I feel like. So, Tara says, we're hoping to buy the 80 acres behind our 40 someday. Wow, that's a lot of land.
That's
awesome, though. Think of everything you could do.
I'm with you, Sam. As far away from neighbors as possible. I mean, I'll be honest. The neighbors we have around us, they're nice people.
Yep.
So I can't.
We don't really have neighbor problems.
Yeah, I can't complain about it, but that would be nice. And I would want some open acreage, but I would want a lot of woods. Like right now, I say all together, out of our 10 acres, we have maybe like 2 that you could kind of count as being wooded, but it's like it's real spread
sparse,
out.
Yeah.
And, so we don't really have woods, and I would like a lot of woods.
I will say, okay, so if I had to choose, I think I'd only want like 30 or 40 acres. I just feel responsible for the land I have and having to maintain it. I don't know. It just, hundreds and hundreds of acres seems like a lot of responsibility.
It's true, but if it's just woods, I don't feel like there's a lot of responsibility for that. I mean, there is, but... I was born, live, and will die in Missouri. Always wanted 100 acres, but we have 11.
Downfall is the rocks. Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
I lived in St. Charles County. There are very little rocks there. Yeah, I lived in St. Charles County for a while, too, growing up.
Karen says, I would like to stay where I am, but with land and animals, I like having the 4 seasons. And I would agree with that. I wouldn't be against Montana, but I do think the growing season would be kind of short.
It would be. Like, you'd for sure have to have a really nice greenhouse set up for something like that, I feel like. I agree with Sam, as much land as I can get. Like, I feel like like when you have pasture, obviously if you want animals and stuff, for the most part, you're going to need some pasture if you want some bigger animals. And that you definitely do have to keep up and do something with it. Make sure your animals are cleaning it up, keep your fences clean and such. But I do feel like if it's woods, there's some cleanup you might have to do on it, but for the most part, just kind of let it be woods. You can definitely do some managing of the forest, but...
Lois says, I like where I am in Ohio. My second choice would be Tennessee.
Tennessee's pretty too.
Yeah.
We've driven through it. We've got some friends that live there. We've visited Nashville and the surrounding area a few times. It is really pretty down there. I like Nashville too.
So
it's a fun city.
Yeah, we haven't been in like, I don't know, 10 years, you think? That long?
Probably. Oh, maybe longer.
Yeah. Well, no,
It's been a
Micah
while.
was born and she's 9, so...
Okay. It's
9
been a
years
while.
has been a while, so...
New Hampshire or Vermont, 25 acres would be nice. Yes, I would love the seasons. I would be in England, birthplace. Ooh.
Yes. And Allison's from Roanoke, Virginia, and she loves Wisconsin too. Another cold state, but good cheese, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been, we have some good friends from Wisconsin. Used to go and visit there a bit.
Okay, so now for the realistic goals. If we're looking 5 to 10 years in the future, where do you think? You think we would... Long-term goals to stay right where we are?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I feel like the 10 acres we have...
It's hard to manage.
Yeah, we haven't managed very well. So I think realistic goal would be to be able to manage our farm better in 5 or 10 years and be able to have nice fencing around the property and get all the pasture cleaned up, have a good like rotation for the animals and such. We do have neighbors that are kind of selling property around us here and there. The neighbor that owns property behind us, it is on a hill and it's mostly woods, but he's told us he would sell some to us at some
We
point.
could always expand a little bit.
So I think there would be a chance to expand in time, probably in 10 years or so, I would say. Some of this land would be for sale that's directly like touching our land. But I think the like short-term goal would be to clean up with what we've got and manage it a lot better.
I think that's the one thing that we really underestimated when we bought the farm is how much time it takes to manage land and how much equipment it takes to manage land.
Yeah,
You feel
we've
like
got
that?
open land. Well, we never had like big animals on it. I think if we had bought 2 or 3 cows or something like that, it probably would have helped just keep it knocked down, but we didn't do that.
Prep for Eternity says, love the mountains of North Carolina, but I don't like the cold weather, so I'll stay in Alabama. Enjoy the long growing season. That's true. You kind of get a double growing season in Alabama, right? You get a really good like spring, and then you got to take a little break in July, and then you get a really good fall,
true.
and that's nice. We don't get it. We have just like the one straight through, and you really got to get them in as soon as possible so that those bigger plants have time to get you vegetables before the frost comes in the fall.
Anne says, my husband wants 40 acres. I think 5 is more realistic at our age. I keep reminding him he's in his 60s, not his 30s. Empty Nester says, heck, I'd be happy with a fence for my dog. Yeah, it's all about perspective, too.
It is.
I do think, though, in the future, we will add... I would like to add some more acreage at some point. I don't know if that's going to be 5 acres or if it's going to be like a lot more. But I would like to add some
I do
more.
think if we added more, though, it would most likely be wooded. He really wants to be able to hunt. And we can't really do that right now. I mean, we could, but we're really close to other people's hunting property that our neighbors own, and just be too worried that somebody would accidentally get shot or something. So, welcome, True Joy. And Pam says other YouTube channels are using pigs to clean out woods.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do that.
You know, I will say
Seems to work well.
our goats do a really good job, too. I mean, any kind of brush or low trees, they strip them.
Yeah, goats will flat clean up some brush fast. Like it's almost unbelievable. You can put goats into something that's covered in brush, how quickly just a couple of them can clean stuff up.
Yep. They've done a pretty good job. This is the first year we've had a lot of animals running on our open pasture, and they're doing a really good job.
It helps because the sheep and the goats, like, they're different kinds of grazers or browsers. You know, the goats really like the brush, and the sheep really like more of the grass. Like, the goats will eat the grass too, and the sheep will eat some of the brush. But the goats are more browsers, and the sheep are more foragers. So,
Pref Attorney says we bought 30 acres last year, but been so busy building the homestead, haven't had a lot of time to enjoy it. Yes. It's hard to do two things at once. You're either working on your house or you're working on your homestead. And you gotta get something. You have to kind of pick one and work on that.
Yeah, we've always talked about that. If we started over, we would, like, before we moved here, we would get one of those two things, like, set before you get to your homestead. Either get your house, like, just absolutely finished, and, you know, obviously you're always going to have maintenance, but get your house like 100% ready to go to move in, or like the land around you and your homestead and your barns and all that. And then it's hard when you feel like you have to work on both, but that's the way it is, though, for just about everybody. I would say
things don't take turns.
Yeah, that's very
being
true.
broken. So, all right, what else? So that's a realistic goal. Maybe a little bit more land, but stay where we are. I think it would also be really hard. Like, I think I said it before, but excuse me, like, it'd be really hard to, like, just move with all the kids far away, losing your family support, losing your community support.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, just even, like, could you imagine having to find all new doctors for Annie and all that? Like, that just feel like if God was like, Sam, you need to move to Timbuktu, like, we'd make it happen. But if it's up to us, like, I think staying where we are works out pretty well.
It would be tough.
Yeah.
It would be a big change. Like, we've talked about it a lot, like, our families, both sides of the family, like, they support us a whole lot, especially with everything we got going on with Annie. Like, we couldn't do it without them. And to lose that would be tough, really tough. Let's see. Debbie says, Bruce wants 10 to 15, realistic is 1 to 2. I'm 59 with bad arthritis, and Bruce has hip issues sometimes, and realistically, I don't want much because I'm getting older. That's very true. I know, that's one thing, if you guys watch Doug and Stacy, I really like the way that they have laid out their homestead, is so that they can kind of age into it, so you keep a lot of things, like, pretty close to your house. If you ever go and visit, like, Amish farms, too, a lot of their stuff,
really close.
as far as, like, their barns, like, their outbuildings, their garden and stuff, a lot of times is really, really close. I do think that that's pretty smart. Like,
and honestly, the people who have those, hundreds of acres, they aren't necessarily producing more food or a considerable amount more food than somebody who maybe only has 3 or 4. It's all about how you use the land that you have and what you raise on it. So you're not going to raise cows on 3 or 4 acres probably, but, meat, rabbits, chickens. There's a lot of animals that don't need a lot of space. You can still produce quite a bit of food for yourself and be quite a bit self-sustainable, even if you don't have just massive amount of acreage.
right.
Okay, so how about animals? You're unrealistic. If you could do anything on your homestead, what would you do livestock-wise?
I would have all kinds of, like, horses and mules.
Because?
Oh, yeah, because it'd be fun. I would have, like, draft horses, because I've worked with them a decent amount, and they're a whole lot of fun to be around. I really enjoy, Tara's on it.
Horse farm.
Like, first thing, she was on it.
Sean's like, no.
But I would like to learn a lot more about horses, too. But I would have all kinds of different horses and mules and stuff. I think it'd be fun to have some hunting dogs. I think that would be, I don't know where I'd have time for all of these things, but
this is the unrealistic goal.
Unrealistic goal. I'd have that. I think we'd have a bunch of cows, some, quite a few beef cows, and some, maybe some milk cows, goats and sheep, and, kind of what we're doing now with chickens, and probably do some more meat chickens, though. We've been talking about turkeys for forever.
Yeah, we've never done it.
So having some turkeys. I think, like, my ultimate goal, like, it used to be, I thought it would be really cool to be a producer and a seller of like home good or like homestead products, you know, selling meat and things like that. But I think my dream goal would be, and I think we can actually make this happen too, which is kind of exciting, would be to have enough for like our families that are around us, and to give some to friends too, or people in need. And I think that that's probably doable.
I agree with that.
But that's what I would like to do. How about you for animals?
Animals. I agree with horses. I just think horses would be neat. They're just a money suck. Sorry, Tara. So maybe in the future, like having a couple horses would be more feasible for us. Like there's no way now. Like they don't give anything really, except maybe some manure, which every animal gives. They don't really
give you pleasure.
Pleasure, yeah. Yes. They don't.
Hopefully.
They don't help my bottom line very much. And that's not practical right now. Maybe in the future, but I really like having the sheep, and I just think it would be neat to have just a lot of mixture. I like looking out and seeing things that are all the same. So, let's see. Pref Fraternity says, definitely don't have to have a ton of acres to grow your food. We bought in hopes to pass on to our kids. We only use about 10. Yeah, you don't need very much land to do quite a lot.
Oh, no. I mean, you think about a garden. Like, if you have a garden that's an acre, like, you can produce a massive amount of food in an acre, a garden. Like, that will keep you busy all summer long.
Raciel says, my dad managed his 15 acres by growing feed, having a local farmer be the worker and share of hay. And there's a lot of people that have a lot of land that do that, might like sublet it for other people to use. So it's a good idea.
Tara says, I sometimes think about finding a rare breed of something to breed. Horses are definitely expensive. Yeah, I've thought about that too. Breeding something that's kind of rare.
That's kind of what, is it White House on the Hill? They do all the rare birds.
Yeah,
and that's really neat. It's just neat to have things that are different.
They do all kinds of rare chickens and ducks, and they've got emus. They've got all kinds of stuff. It's really neat.
You're not a fan of emus, is that correct?
Nah, I'm not. I don't know. I mean, I kind of get...
You don't like dinosaurs?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get the draw of them because they're so unique. But I don't know. They don't really do much for me. Emus don't. When we were growing up, there was a guy behind us that had an emu farm. And he had like 60 of them back there. And one day the fence broke. And me and my siblings were out front. I think we were playing baseball or something. All of a sudden, like, I kid you not, I swear the ground shook. It may have been just because I was like 12 or 13, but I swear the ground shook. And we just hear like thunk, 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 thunk. And around the corner, an emu comes running. We all lost our marbles and ran inside. And he ended up, it put him out of business because he had enough that got away that they just had to shoot. We lived pretty close to Highway 70, which is kind of like the biggest highway in Missouri. It runs all the way across the state. And they had a bunch that were running to the highway, and they ended up having to just shoot them. And I'm pretty sure he sold them for meat. But he had to shoot enough that it just kind of ruined his farm, and he had to sell the rest of them. So it was kind of sad. But they had guys, like my dad came home, put on his jeans, and was out there trying to like grab these emus and wrangle them, which is pretty hard to do. It was kind of funny.
Did you have to like put their head in a pillowcase or something?
Something, yeah. They were trying to wrap their heads with towels or whatever they could find, blankets, and then you can kind of sort of lead them where you want, but it was crazy. Silver Moon says, horses can be beasts of burden if you can't afford a tractor for plowing and such.
That's like your dream, to hitch up.
I actually know how to hook up a horse to some of those implements and stuff. We did a little bit of that when I worked at the horse farm with our draft horses. We mostly pulled carriages, though. But I think pulling a plow or something just for the fun of it would just be a neat experience. Just to say I've done it once. It'd be pretty cool.
Okay, so now realistic goals. Where are we heading livestock-wise? The next 5 to 10 years.
In the next 5 to 10 years. I think we can get a milk cow. I think if we had a little bit more land, we might be able to do some beef cows. Possibly. I don't know that I would get like a whole breeding pair and stuff like that, but maybe just buy some steers every year, or depending on what kind of a milk cow, just raise that calf for beef. Right. I think if we did get some more acres, though, we could raise enough for like our extended family and such too. The horses and stuff, I really do think we would need more land because we've got 10 acres. But as far as like the fenced part, I'd probably say it's like 6 or 7. And if you already have goats and sheep and a milk cow, like all of a sudden your acreage is like, you don't really have much left for horses. But I'd like to fit them in at some point, even if it's just 1 or 2. I think that would be fun. Not a whole herd, but at least a couple. Let's see. Lois says the land that we don't personally use on our farm, we leave out.
Yep.
Oh, lease out, right?
Yes.
Tara says, I still don't know if I could take care of an animal for months and then eat it. It is tough, but like, for me, the part, like, I don't like killing animals and stuff either, honestly. Like, it's hard for me. But the part that gets me through it is like, I'm taking care of my family.
Well, and there's some animals too whose personalities, you're not really sad when they
go. It makes it a little easier.
Every once in a while, there's one that
that's very true.
You whistling as you put it on the back of the truck.
My girls love Little House on the Prairie, so they would love for us to have horses for plows and things. Probably
not going to happen. Yeah, that'd be really cool though. Terrace is true. Yeah, we got one right now. We got to go. Victor, we talked about him last time, whether or not it was worth taking him to the butcher because he's kind of little, but he's not staying, whatever the final decision is.
He's got an attitude. Let's see. As far as like the rest of the animals, like I don't think we want to have 200 chickens again.
No, but I would like to raise meat birds again.
Yeah.
Whether, like 20 or 25 would do us for a year. We don't eat chicken every week. We eat it a couple times a month, so...
let's see. Lois says the land we do not personally use on our farm, we lease out. Yes. And then Pam says rabbits are hard for me to off. Chicken's not so bad. Yeah, I could see rabbits they're pretty. Cuddly. I mean, I know some rabbits can bite and be stinkers a little bit, but rabbits would be a little, sweet little fluffy bunny. It would be tough.
Yeah, we talked about raising rabbits this year. We were going to give it as a project to the girls, but then we stopped because they did not like the idea of them becoming meat. But we don't need 40 rabbits because rabbits reproduce really fast.
They're like, we'll just breed them. And we're like, okay, what are we going to do with the babies? And then they're like, then we'll have babies. And then you're like, I know, but they're going to get older. And then, they're like, well, we'll have more rabbits. They're like, this plan's not working out. You can't just have 50 rabbits sitting on the homestead.
See, my daughter's goats that she had for FFA took care of our yard and any low-hanging trees. We had them here for a month and didn't mow once. They do a good job.
They do. They can take care of it. I think like getting turkeys and stuff like that's definitely doable. We don't want a lot. I do think one of our goals in the next 5 to 10 years though would to be have like each set of animals, like our chickens, our ducks, our geese, and our turkeys, like all of our birds to be like reproducing themselves, so we don't have to buy, so that they
be cool.
They sit on their own eggs, and we just have babies in the spring that they've done all the work for us. I think that would be pretty cool to have its own.
We had that happen this year. We hatched some chickens. So.
I think it would be really cool to have a homestead that's kind of self-sustaining in that respect.
JB, welcome. Thanks for joining us. All right, so now so if we talk about infrastructure on the farm,
yes,
I'll tell you right now what Sam wants, and you can tell me if you've changed your mind. But I think I got you pegged. If you could have any infrastructure on the farm, he wants a gambrel-style barn that's built into the side of a hill, so it looks like 1 story from one way, but it's actually like 2 stories with a stone foundation, and you keep all your animals on the bottom and all your hay and stuff on the top, but you can still just roll the tractor up because it's built into the side of the hill.
It would be pretty cool. Yep. That's pretty much it. If I were to have a dream, the farm that I worked on had a few barns like that. They were pretty unique and pretty cool. Obviously, like, the biggest issue with that, well, probably 2 biggest issues. One is moisture, because it does tend to stay a little bit cooler, and it can collect some moisture. And the second issue would be your foundation cracking or whatever, and then you've got water all in the basement or the bottom where your animals are. But
it's nice to go out and milk in the middle of July, and it's still like 55 degrees in the bottom of your barn, right?
Yeah, it's nice. It stays pretty nice out of the wind and the weather, and it's nice because you can just dump your hay from that first floor down. Yeah, bank barns. That's the proper name for it. What was I gonna say? Oh, but if I couldn't have a bank barn, I'd take just a regular barn, but I want it like central kind of to the farm and all of the animals to have their home kind of like built off of it for the most part. You can keep all your feed and everything in one spot that you can have like easy access to.
Yeah.
You pull up to it, and you just have 4 doors that you open for each animal's section of the.
I do wish I mean, we don't have that many animals, but I wish they all, like you said, were in the same barn. It would make chores a lot faster to not have to be like chickens up there and sheep back there, and
have your water, have everything like right there, centrally kind of located. And the barn wouldn't even necessarily have to be like right next to the house. It could be a little ways away, because you can take care of all the animals in one spot.
Yeah.
So even if you had to walk to the barn a little bit, it wouldn't bother me if all of the animals were like right there. I think it would be nice.
I agree with that.
That would be, and I think that's pretty doable. That's not like pie in the sky. I don't have to have a huge barn. I don't need a barn that's going to hold 100 head of cattle. But it would be nice to have something that, like our shed right now, like I have to duck when I walk in there. Because it's built so long ago.
Well, even now, like we have housing for all the animals, but we can't fit the animals and like all the hay and stuff in there. So we have a hay storage problem. So we're having to buy it like 3 bales at a time. It gets kind of chancy if there's ever like, because it's happened before where you can't find hay in like February, but we can't buy a bunch in December and store it all winter.
Yeah, so. I can usually buy like 8 to 10 bales at a time, somewhere in there. But we need. Let's see, how many times do I have to do that though if I buy that many? I think if we have. It was like 40 or 50 altogether, like gets us through. I mean, it depends how many animals you have, because that kind of changes every year.
Tara wants a barn that's tall enough for horses. Ours is really too low, but we make it work. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of feel like people, when they build barns that way, like, you're putting all that effort in. Is it that much more money to, like, do an extra foot? Like, when they built that shed, like, were you just really short, or?
Well, no, that barn, I'll tell you what they did is it was just a regular dirt floor, and then they decided to pour a concrete floor inside of it. And so because of that, it raised the floor too much. But Terry says it was for dairy cows originally. I bet that's a cool looking barn, though. Prep for eternity. I looked up some pictures of the bank barns. They looked very nice.
They do. They're very just like nostalgic looking, old.
Yeah, I think they're cool.
Old America kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Old world was the word I'm thinking of.
Yeah, we had an older bank barn that was the mule barn where no sound, frozen video.
Let us know if you're having a problem too. We're still looking good on our feedback loop, but let us know if you're having a problem. We can try to maybe refresh. Okay, everybody else seems to be doing good. Sorry, Grammy, you might refresh your feed.
What was I gonna say?
What is that sound? We have a mystery animal out our back window. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
It just sounds like a bird that's stuck or something.
Is it in the wood stove? Okay. We have a mystery animal visiting our farm.
All right, where were we? Oh, the bank barns. So we had one really old barn. We called it the mule barn, the bank barn. And it had been there a long time, and it had enough foundation, work, and it never leaked. It was great. And then they built a really nice horse barn, bank barn. And it actually, the first year we had it, it got a decent amount of moisture in it. I don't think that they were counting for that to happen, but that's just an issue you'd have to think about on the front end.
Allison Sanders says, I have to crawl into our chicken run made out of a trampoline. It was free. Yep, so there's something to that. Like, we have a chicken coop, but I can't stand up in it. I mean, he can't stand up in it either. But it was really cheap, and it does its job. And so there's something to be said, just for practical building.
Oh, so, yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do. This is just the pie in the sky dreaming stuff, but yeah, free stuff is awesome stuff. That's for sure. Did you already read the JB42 watching?
Oh, okay.
Only 24 thumbs up. That's right.
Yeah, if you give it
Thumbs up if you can. We appreciate it.
All right. What about gardens? I know a pie in the sky garden.
You go for it.
Oh, I want like 20 raised beds, and I want them like 3 feet high, where I don't have to bend over at all. And if you've ever seen I don't think she's here tonight. She's here a lot though. The Red Shed. She has a beautiful like setup with her raised beds and the type of fence she has around. It's like cattle panel, but they're like lined in wood. It's just, and she's got like grapevines growing through the trellises. It's just beautiful. Like that's what I want. But I realize that every raised bed costs hundreds of dollars. Then you got to fill them with dirt, and so probably end up being more expensive than our house by the time we were done. But it would make gardening so much easier.
Tara says, yes, I wanted mine higher, but dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like Doug and Stacy, they've got raised beds that are about 3 feet high. They're really nice. I think the raised beds with a nice fence around it all, it just looks nice too. It looks real clean, and you can keep things just looking really good. I like it.
Rasil says when you have 10 acres filling with dirt, it's called digging a hole. That's actually not very, that's sort of true. We have a lot of rocky soil out. We could, but we would definitely need a lot of fill. It would not necessarily be dirt. We already struggle a lot to plant in the ground because it's so rocky and clayey.
Yeah, we'd have to
We'd have to do a lot of work, but we could get some of the dirt.
That is
you're
true.
right. And we have our compost producers out there, which we would also add. But we would definitely need some fill if we were looking at wanting to make our gardening life easier.
Tara says, yeah, ours is clay. No
Yeah,
luck.
a lot of red clay.
There's a company not too far away from us. It's where Doug and Stacy
But we
got
could
all
end
of
up
their
with
dirt.
a swimming pool for the girls, which would make
Yeah,
them happy. So.
2 birds with 1 stone. I have plenty of manure though.
Yep.
Missouri clay is awful. It is. It's pretty. It's not very helpful when it comes to gardening. I think that would be awesome though, and I think that that's something that could be doable. Maybe not all at once,
Over
but
time.
building a couple of raised beds every year, and building up to a big garden and putting a big fence around it. I think that would be really nice. Plant a lot of flowers around the outside
It'd
of
be
it
really
too.
pretty.
It'd be really, really
And
pretty.
I think it would be easier to maintain.
Oh, yeah. I think, like, the raised beds, especially if you can get them up a little higher, they're super easy to take care of, I think. So is Kansas City. We don't plant anything in the ground if you want it to grow.
Yeah, too much clay. Let's see. You can put a lot of limbs and leaves in the bottom. That will help with your soil. Yes. And Mary Beth says, I know I could make pottery out of Missouri clay. I actually was going to sometime... I was going to look into it to see if you could do anything. I thought the girls might think that was cool. Because, I mean, we got some patches out there in our garden that it's just rust red. You know what I'm talking about? Like, there's no dirt in that. It's just clay. But what Prep for Eternity said, so talking about manageable goals, this year I'm determined to move the garden. I am done fighting the ground. Like, just done. Every year. Just out there breaking my back. And we're growing stuff, but it's just like... It's so much work, and it's so much harder than it should be for so many reasons. The garden needs to be closer to the house first off. So if you watch the last couple of videos, we talked about it, but we're tearing down the fence that basically isn't doing anything anyway, and we're moving the garden much closer to the house. I'm going to add 2 raised beds this year with materials that we already have, so we don't have to buy anything. But I think what I'm going to do in the bottom, is it called hugelculture? We never say that right.
Excuse me.
As I'm going to fill it halfway, we had a tree that dropped some giant limbs, and we're just going to chop those up, and I'm going to put them in the bottoms with leaves
like
and stuff,
Prep
just
for
like that.
Eternity,
Yeah,
so.
and then on top of that, we'll get some fill, but it'll help create good composted material eventually over the years, really good drainage. It'll help prevent you from spending $1 million trying to fill it with dirt. So that's the plan. I'm trying to build raised beds. I'll say it's for free, but I don't like saying it's free because I understand that, like, at some point we bought those materials. We just didn't use them for the original project. And, you know, like, the animals cost me money, but they're producing the compost, things like that. So,
Hello, Rosanna.
welcome. Mary Beth says, yes, hugelculture. So we'll try it. We'll keep you posted. I'm going to maybe build the beds next week. I was thinking about that. I think I can do it myself. You think I can do it myself?
Mm-hmm.
You'll be home next week if I can't. So.
Yep. I think you can.
Let's see. Reseal says get large loads of wood chips to amend the soil. Good culture. Yes.
Yeah, I think that can help.
We actually have a sawmill not too far around. I wonder if maybe we go knock on their door.
Let's see.
Silver Moon says I got a garden belt filled today with broken down mulch that's almost soil. I was so happy to finally get that done.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
And it feels great, right? Having things done way ahead of time, because I feel like there's always so much to do in the homestead or with the kids and stuff that I was feeling I'm always up against the deadline. So when I can get something done early, it feels great. It feels like a huge weight off my shoulders, not standing there staring at me for the weeks to come. And Prep Eternity says, yes, that will be great. And I hope so. And I'm really hopeful that it'll work. And it'll be I'm excited. And I think the girls will like it because it'll be easier for them to work in the garden, like the little girls. The big girls do fine in the garden, but Isla's only 2, and you're like, don't step on anything green. But she's still all over the place like Godzilla. So
too excited.
She can help pick things without destroying the plants in the row behind it. So Anne says, my raised beds are hugelculture. The only way I could afford it, I have to add mulch and soil every year. Yeah, I would imagine as it kind of breaks down, but it kind of spreads your expense out. Instead of having a huge expense all at one time, kind of get to siphon it off over the years. Get some first cuts from your sawmill for beds, much less expensive. Oh, that's a good idea.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the best wood ever to build a raised bed. All right, any other plans for any other parts? If you were just dreaming.
For just dreaming? Oh, man, I don't know. What did we miss? You guys tell us, what did we miss?
Raised beds with vines overhead or a big greenhouse. That's what we need, a big greenhouse.
You need a greenhouse that doesn't need to be re-plasticed every year. I just need good plastic.
That's why you need 50 rabbits. Rabbit poo would be great for the soil.
Yeah, and rabbit poo doesn't have to be like...
It's not a hot...
Yeah, it's not hot.
It's not a hot manure. Yeah, you can put it directly on.
Silver Moon used fence pickets to build my garden beds. I'm pretty sure that's what's in the barn, those cedar pickets and those fence pickets. That's what I'm going to use. So
Tara says she would want a beautiful greenhouse and potting shed.
Oh,
that's
that'd
a
be
good
nice.
idea. Yeah.
It would be nice to be like one of those glass greenhouses where you got the little tea table in the middle and you sit amongst your flowers and vegetables.
Oh, yeah. That's the dream,
That's the dream.
A big, nice greenhouse would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
I said, was it our last stream, maybe? We've got a neighbor down the road a ways. They've got a really nice
So they do
greenhouse.
have a huge one.
It's big, really big. Yeah, that would be awesome to have. I know, who was it? Somebody, I can't remember who it was now. Somebody got like a grant, another YouTuber got a grant for a big greenhouse. I think the way they got the money was that they said the greenhouse was going to be for educational purposes, and basically all they...
Bring school tours.
Yeah, they bring some school tours through a few times a year to show that they're using it for that. But other than that, they got a grant, so they didn't have to pay anything. It's a big, big greenhouse. I forget who it was.
Silver Moon says, I'm going to build some row covers and grow some fall greens. Yes.
That's a good idea.
Fall greens do really well for us in the greenhouse. I just think it's not going to happen this year. I just do not have enough time to re-plastic the greenhouse and plant this year, unfortunately. So we're going to take a little growing break until January. Because I definitely can get the greenhouse repaired for the spring and get things started, but there's just way too much happening. So
Beth says a greenhouse like Doug's friend Gary. I don't think I've seen that one. I haven't been able to watch Doug and Stacy too much lately just because of school.
You don't watch anybody.
And even before then, I was working 7 days a week, so I wasn't watching a ton of YouTube. But let's see. Tammy says planted potatoes and carrots, Central California, hopefully out of the ground by Thanksgiving.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. That'd be cool. Thanksgiving dinner.
Iris Lady said, I chose trees for my husband to cut down for my raised bed. It's totally free.
Well, that's a good idea,
we
too.
We have a couple. We got some trees that need to come down, but they're really close to the house. So
it would be pretty cool, too.
Don't know if it's safe, but we need to have somebody come do it for us.
That's true. Let's see. Anything else?
All right, if you could...
Dream homestead.
Okay, what about your dream homestead home? So unrealistic expectations. If money didn't matter, what kind of house would you build? Would it be an off-grid house?
Oh, that's a good idea. I don't think it would be off-grid, but I would have solar to help offset a lot of the electrical, and I would have it built in a way that like if the power went out and stuff, you know, you could make it, you'd do okay. Like I would still have a well. Um, I would probably get a simple pump for a well. If you haven't seen those, they're really cool. They go inside your well casing, and you can still
You can do a manual pump if the electricity goes out.
if you're, or you could run it off solar if you wanted to. But I'd for sure still keep a well. I like that. I would try to make the house as efficient as I could. I think.
I know you want is it called the split log cabin? Like the old fashioned with the white caulking, isn't that what
Oh
you
yeah,
like?
I think those look really cool. Like when they have the flat logs. I think those are really pretty. What else would I do for the house? I think just for our family, I would have like the actual like living room or living space be a little bit bigger. I don't know that I would want the house. We've talked about this before, or if we were to redo this house. I don't know that I would just do one huge open area because we have too many kids. It would just be too loud all the time.
Yeah.
We still need some dividing of the rooms, but I would want a living area that was a lot bigger so we could fit everybody. Right now we can fit everybody, but if we have company over, there's no room.
Yeah, and I also don't like the open. I think open concept is beautiful, like beautiful looking. But I think it's just not practical with kids. Like you said, everything echoes really loud because the rooms are so big. And then also, like, if we're working on some sort of big farm project in the kitchen, you can see it clearer through from the front door. You feel like your house you can't hide any messes. So I think I wouldn't like something that was totally
Pam
open.
says earth contact, not a log cabin. I live in one now. Yeah, we've talked about if we were to try to do one that was like kind of a partial earth contact. Maybe not put it all the way in the ground, but yeah, those are nice. I like those too.
Let's see, silver.
True Joy.
Where are we? Woo.
Oh no,
Sarah,
we missed that
one.
one.
Underground, grid tied, mostly solar. Think finished basement without an upper level. And those ground contact, we talked about that, like you said, just because it really helps with your heating and cooling costs, and you can be comfortable without needing to run a lot of energy.
True Joy says Sarah and Kevin at Living Traditions are working hard on moving to a bigger homestead, so you might want to talk to them about their choice for their new house. They had some nice greenhouses too.
Awesome. To check out their channel. Karen says, I would like a small house, but need to have a water for plumbing. Electric would not be important. Would like wood cooking stove.
Oh yeah, that
I
would
like
be
cooking
nice
on my
too.
wood stove, even though it's not technically a cook stove. But.
Right.
Mary Beth, you could save a bit of money by making peat moss, perlite, and cheap raised bed soil. Add chicken bedding. Maybe start a little worm farm. Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good
Possibilities
idea too.
are endless. And Debbie says, I don't like the open floor plan. Solar would be nice. I think, and if we go to realistic plans, I think we want to say, if we built something or stayed here, we'd want to stay on the grid connected, but we want to have redundancies and we want to reduce our grid impact. I can't think of the right word.
Yeah, your reliance on it.
Yeah. I mean, electricity is just convenient and it's nice to have it available. And we've tried dabbing our toes in the off-grid waters and discovered that maybe we don't like that amount of work.
Maybe
That's
it's
just
not for
our
us.
personal. We like being able to have the running water and be able to have air conditioning when it's 110 degrees outside. So just our personal feelings. But I do believe in reducing our carbon footprint and just being less greedy in our electric usage, which maybe is the right word
Yeah,
for
I
it.
think it's good to look at things, try and be a little more efficient if you can, if it's possible. Prep for Eternity says, agree about the open floor plan. We prefer more separate rooms. Really hope to get a wood stove.
Yes.
They are nice. Yeah, we would for sure keep a wood stove. Even if it wasn't like our sole source for heat, I think it's nice just for the ambiance for sure. But also, you can cut into that electric bill or your gas bill or whatever with a wood stove, even if it wasn't something you had to rely on solely. Even just using it a few times a week, it would do a good job for
I will
you.
say my 2 cents, and I'm not a wood stove expert, but whatever wood stove you get, know exactly how big the space is you're trying to heat, and make sure you get something rated for a larger area. Don't spend that extra money and get the big one and get the one with the catalytic converter, so it doesn't lose all its heat if you're gone all day and things like that.
Yeah, it really depends.
It's really worth it. Do your research.
Homework. But a lot of times, when we've talked about it before, when it comes to some appliances and things like that, you do get what you pay for. And you can find some of those things used and get a good deal. Somebody that's moving or upgrading or downgrading or whatever. But yeah, doing your research and getting a nice wood stove, like, for sure.
Right. Living Traditions is in Missouri. I've watched a few of their videos. I haven't watched them. I feel like such a contradiction, like being a YouTuber, and I watch a handful of videos a week. I just don't have time.
Yeah, it's tough.
There's so many ones that I have like saved. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go back and watch that because I want to learn how to do that. And there's just only so many hours in the day.
Lois says, I'm not a fan of the open concept, and I could get you a quote for solar.
You know,
Well,
maybe talk to us in a year when
in
Sam's
mind.
out of school. I got no extra money right now, but maybe in a
Prep
year.
for Eternity says, agree about having off-grid abilities as backup. I like the convenience of electricity. Yes.
I always tell Sam, it's like my saying, it's fun to be prepared for the apocalypse. It's not fun to live like it's the apocalypse every day. So we like having our preparedness and we'd be ready, if there's a big storm or something, knock out the power. But doing that every day, knowing that there's electric available and things, it just kind of stinks. So.
Silvermoon says, I'm the odd duck here. I prefer open floor plans, but my kids are adults and they have their own rooms.
Yeah, and it just depends. I think a lot of that depends on your situation in life. It would just be so loud. I mean, maybe if everything was carpeted, but man, I don't know. There's just a lot of little people.
I do think
voices.
open concepts like beautiful.
It is
I think it's
beautiful.
really pretty. I do like that for sure. It just depends. I don't know. I could see it working too with a bunch of kids. Maybe it just depends how you have it set up.
Yeah, maybe. Anything else? Did we miss anything?
Probably.
Pray for Sam. He's got his finals tomorrow.
I have a regular chapter. It's over 5 chapters tomorrow, and then Wednesday is my final. I have to do a PowerPoint on my research paper by tomorrow night, and then my big research paper is due Friday. So this is the last.
Last hurrah for this term.
The end products here for school.
Oh, I'm going to answer this one because this one's fun. Rasila asked, I watched an old video of yours about your washer and dryer. Are you still using the apartment size one? Yes, and it's so funny because that little washing machine, which we bought 6 years ago for $150.
It's made of all plastic.
It's plastic. It's the cheapest looking washing machine. I use it probably 3 times a day, every day, and it is not giving me 2 peeps of a problem. I don't understand. We've had really good washing machines, good metal, American made, that have pooped out after a year, and this little tiny plastic, probably made in China, apartment dinky washing machine, it just keeps going.
I don't know how.
Because
it has nothing
it's
nice
all
on
plastic.
it. Yeah,
the buttons, the text is all worn off, so I'm the only one that knows what buttons to push, but it washes great still, so whatever.
Let's see. Beth says, I don't like sitting on the couch and looking at the refrigerator and washing machine. Oh, with open concept.
With open concept.
We'll be praying for sure you can do it. Thank you. And Mary says, Sam, you'll do great when you graduate. I'll be done with school in August. So
Pam says, I better be knocking on wood. Yeah, I probably should. But I will say, if it did, the downside is now that because there are now 8 of us and there were only 5 of us when we bought it, it's not large enough. I have to run a lot of loads, and also it's not big enough to wash bedding, which gets really obnoxious. So your big comforters, I have to take them somewhere to wash them, which if somebody with little kids, somebody has an accident and it has to be washed, you're like, oh great, So if it died, I'd be a little bit sad. It's been a good wash machine, but I would be excited to be able to have one large enough to wash everything I need to wash.
let's see. Debbie says, I don't like looking at my kitchen if I'm in my living room. Adele says, oh man, I'm late. We'll rewatch, I promise.
Thanks for joining us, Adele. True Joy's praying for you, and Rosanna says good luck. Andrea says, I don't dream. I've had a hard life, multiple tragedies and letdowns. I do plan realistic and methodically work towards them despite hurdles. And I think being a pragmatic person and taking it one step at a time, you're gonna get where you want to go. Just working through all of it.
Yeah, that's the way you got to do it for sure. And Debbie says, good luck with finals. Thank you.
You've done, this semester's been pretty...
It's not been too bad. I've got good grades in the classes. I should I got a chance at all A's, so that's
You
good.
worked really hard.
I
so.
have.
So we got a, let's see, Charlie says we got a full-size washer, but we can't wash our comforter in it either. So I have my eye on a Maytag commercial size washing machine that they have at Lowe's or whatever. I like it because it's all metal and it's got knobs and switches, no computer parts. It's meant for like a laundromat. But I got a lot of laundry to do, so one day that baby is coming to my house. I'm gonna be able to wash everything.
What was the
it's
other
gonna take
brand?
the color off of the shirts.
Yeah. What's the other brand?
Or
you
the
looked at?
the Speed Queen, which is
Yeah,
an
that's what it
American-made,
is. Speed
oversized, all metal wash. I can't imagine how heavy these things are, but it's gonna get stuff clean, and it's gonna get a lot of things clean in one load. So.
Yep.
So Adele says, "Great job. I know you all worked hard for those grades." So, been.
Yeah. Yeah, not only like I have to put in the work, but Laura has to put in a ton of work too. Like this is a total team effort for sure. So
We make a good team.
we do. Yep.
And now anytime somebody gets a boo-boo, I'm like, well, Daddy's in nursing school. Go have him look at it.
I feel like they come to me with their.
They do.
Even before I was going to nursing school, anyway.
I don't do eyeballs, and I don't do fingers and toes. It just grosses me out. If somebody's got a pulled back fingernail, take that one to Daddy. He's going to take care of it. I can do other things, but that's just too much. Can't do it. All right. Are we, let's see. Someone says, get a big washer and you'll have so much more time on your hands. Snickers. Yeah.
That's for sure.
Rasil says, if you have small sawmill
Sawmill.
nearby, you have a great resource if your firewood runs low. I've seen a video of you guys using it in some
Yeah, I've
pieces.
seen that too. I thought about going and picking some up. I just never had a trailer big enough for that.
Super well prepared for this winter, though. We're ahead of the game.
Yeah,
We have to move the pile though. It's in the wrong space right now to be able to cover it. So, Tammy says, praying for you. You can do it. Well, thank you, and thank you everybody for stopping by. Sam's gonna go do a little bit more studying, and I'm gonna tuck everybody in for bed. I think because it's now 8:00. So, we will see you guys maybe next week. We'll let you know. We'll see what's going on. It might not be, because he's on break next week, so we might go do some family stuff.
Go do something fun next
We'll
week.
figure it out. So, thanks for watching.
Hit the thumbs up on your way out, but you guys have a really good week. We appreciate you tuning in here.
So, bye.
You guys take care.